Boom! Welcome to the Omniverse Comics Guide podcast, everybody. We're your Omniverse Comics Guide guys. Our names are... I always forget where they... Oh, wait. Right here.
I've taken them off.
I'm right there.
I'm going to take them
And
off
there's
one week
that
and you're
guy.
just going to be doing this. Like someone on TikTok.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. For those that are watching, the loyal viewers on Twitch, thank you for joining us on Twitch. Everybody who's watching on YouTube, don't forget to rate and subscribe us, like there too, share the show, and on all the podcast platforms. But Omniverse Comics Guide, it's a great comic book website, especially for those who are trying to enjoy the hunt of comics, the reading orders, the reviews, making the whole reading experience more enjoyable. Omniverse Comics Guide, check it out. I dare you. Dare you.
I dare you. Go on.
I dare you.
Go on, you bastard.
Yeah. Dave, what's going on, my friend? How are you, sir?
Oh, man. I'm all right, thanks, dude. I'm all right. Been getting some new shares. Do you want to see?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Show me what you got.
I've nearly finished this one.
What's come in the mail for you?
Already? This is World's Finest,
Ooh.
Volume 3.
I should just finally get into the series. I don't want to buy them in hardcovers because I know I'm going to buy the omnibus.
Yeah, I think there will be an omnibus.
Just
There's
blind-
a crossover coming up. So I think
Yeah, for sure.
it'll probably be in that. But currently reading otherwise, some really tasteful stuff. Bit of martial law. Was I still reading this last week?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you when you had gotten the book and how excited you were about it, because was it hard to find for a little bit?
Yeah, it goes for quite a lot. I think I think it came out in 2013, the deluxe edition, and it's everything, I think. And it's weird, it's from DC. And you wouldn't think it would have a DC logo, considering some of the content in that book. It's kind of weird that it's DC in a way, even though I know they've done Vertigo and stuff, but it's not like a Black Label or a Vertigo title.
I've never read it.
It's filth.
I've never read it, but well, there you go. Yeah, you love that stuff.
I love
Here,
filth.
look at this grin on your face.
It's violence and excessive nudity. Thank you.
Who wrote it? Who worked on that? Was that Howard Chaykin?
It was Pat Mills and Kevin O'Neill. So, of course, then when we lost Kevin O'Neill, didn't we? Yeah, since then, the
Did
book
we?
was even harder
Oh,
to
my
find.
goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough after that to try and get hold of it. I think people then wanted his back catalogue, because that's what normally happens, isn't it? Suddenly people go, damn, I've been meaning to get this or that for ages. Yeah, it's really hard to get. So I just kind of stumbled across it at the Comic-Con. I'm like, okay, having that one. Thank you. Can't let my kids see it.
Nothing quite as satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so satisfying, those type of finds. What else? What else did you get? What else?
We got mail, dude. We've got a little mailbag section. Should we do a mailbag section?
Come on.
Let me get it out of the box. So I've been sent this from viewer Sam Getliff. Thanks, Sam, for thinking of me.
Thanks, Sam.
He sent me a Megatron face mask. So that's the most niche thing I've ever heard
That's
of.
incredible.
It's like, if you're a G1 specific
fantastic.
Transformers fan and you like to make sure your face is soft and supple, then here you go. Get yourself a nice... This isn't advertised. We're not being paid. Get yourself a nice aloe vera Megatron face mask. So what I'll do is I'll actually record the usage of this to show you what it's like. If you want to see me do this, then let me know.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we'll run it.
So we are heading into May, everybody. Already. May incoming. Here we go.
Woo!
Woo. All right, Dave.
It's your start.
These are your favorites.
These are my
Is it my
favourites.
start?
It's
Okay.
your start. My favourite bit's your start.
Okay. So last week I almost picked this, and this is the Absolute Superman from Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. 600 pages or so. It collects all of the things clearly that they worked on. I think it's just pre-Flashpoint stuff. So it collects like the Legion of Superheroes, which I recently talked about, Superman Legion of Superheroes storyline, the Brainiac storyline that leads into New Krypton. And also there is the Secret Origins story that Gary Frank and Jeff Johns worked on together. So it's a pretty decently sized Absolute, worth it. But I was hoping that perhaps we could get an omnibus That's what I was going to pick last week, like a Jeff Johns Superman omnibus, right? But anyways, it'd be too hard to put together because this is a perfect package of these two creators who have a very, very good working dynamic. They're doing a lot of the stuff with the Ghost Machine currently that they're working on, right? So Gary Frank, Jeff Johns, it's a good option. Gary Frank, when he does Superman, like you can really feel the Christopher Reeve coming through the page.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like home. Yeah. So if you haven't read this stuff, it's worth your while too. I think if you like Superman, because it also has just the right touch of a Superman we all recognize. Regardless of a generation or era, if we watch the animated series, if we grew up with Christopher Reeves, it's just a really, really nice touch of Superman in the absolute format. So safe bet it's going to be a good, worthwhile purchase. As long as they publish or they have it put together right.
I think they will. They're doing a really nice job of those absolutes, aren't they? They make such a nice job of them. But I think I've been trying to buy less of them just because they're quite difficult to store. They don't sit in normal bookcases. What a ridiculous reason.
Yeah, and I don't often recommend absolutes because I don't buy many myself. I have one that I like, Batman Hush. I have absolute format.
Oh no,
found it for a really good price. Yeah, Hush. And of course, the artwork in that would be nice to have on an oversized format.
Yeah.
But again, it is something that you reserve for certain type of reading experiences because you are paying a premium for this format. But it's a worthwhile one. Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, Superman.
Okay.
Your number one, take it away.
My numero one it's from the other side of the camp. It's Marvel, and it's a reprint.
Okay.
Now, I don't often do reprints when we do these. I think so that there's so much stuff to choose from, and I try and find stuff that hasn't happened before. But I mean, this is full of some of my favourite material. And I've got it, so I'm going to show it. This is the Daredevil by Frank Miller Omnibus Companion, or Companion Omnibus. Which way around is it? We don't know. Omnibus Companion, apparently. Look at it. This has some of the greatest Daredevil stories in it. And to a degree, I would say this is probably, for me, better than the book It's a Companion 2, which was Frank Miller's original run on Daredevil. Now, hang on. I'm going to remind myself what's in it, because I didn't make notes for this. Like an idiot. But it's got the first issues of Daredevil drawn by Miller, which was Spectacular Spider-Man 27-28. It's got the unbelievably incredible Born Again storyline from Daredevil 226 to 233. There's also a Frank Miller written issue, which is 219, which was drawn by John Buscema, which is kind of a Western feeling story. It's a very odd, unusual story. They've got the Daredevil Love and War Marvel graphic novel, which is the art's by Bill Sienkiewicz, or Sienkiewicz. I never get that pronunciation right. Sorry, Bill. But it's nuts. In fact, nuts being the operative word, because like there's a whole kidnapping storyline in there, and the guy is slightly unhinged that Daredevil's trying to kind of track down and stop. The way that Sienkiewicz puts that across in the art is fantastic. It's just this wild, manic artwork. Then Daredevil looks more kind of like, it's like an exaggerated hero, and when Kingpin is on screen, as it were, he's massive, like he's ridiculously overblown. It is borderline ridiculous. It's all about conveying who these characters are, almost as caricatures, but it works. It's brilliant stuff. And then, of course, you've got the Daredevil, The Man Without Fear 5-issue miniseries, which he did with John Romita Jr., which was kind of a TV pitch vibe thing, wasn't it? It feels like a beginning. It feels
Definitely had it.
Yeah, it kind of has that. If you watch the TV series, it feels like first series of it.
For sure.
It's great.
Yeah, no. Great pick. It was on my list as well. If you don't own it, try to get your hands on it, because again, like Dave said, it's some of the best Daredevil stories.
Yeah.
Right? It really is.
Born Again in itself is a mid-80s classic. The art is by David Mazzucchelli. I didn't mention him earlier, but if you look at Deadly Class, it's very much influenced by that Mazzucchelli art and the colouring style as well from that run. Because, of course, Deadly Class is set in the 80s, so they wanted to give it like an authentic 80s comic vibe. It's probably one of my top 5 favourite Marvel stories of all time. No.
I'll go with an easy one for myself, which is Transformers from Daniel Warren Johnson.
Okay.
Which I've been waiting to get. I know you've read it.
Yeah.
You're not the biggest fan of it, but you have legitimate reason to feel differently because you're a Transformers fan. Like that is your fandom in a lot of ways, right? Like you've got something to compare it to. I
I
won't.
guess. I'll let you. I'll let
Yeah,
you talk about why
I
you're
won't.
looking forward to it, and then I will just kind of explain my stance on it. Not in a derogatory way. I don't want to be like. There's no need to be derogatory about it. I was kind of harsh about it a few weeks ago, but I'm gonna. I think I understand
That's
what my
okay.
issue is with it. But go ahead, dude.
For me, it's Daniel Warren Johnson is one of the few creators who I'm like, I'll check out what you're doing because you tried weird things, probably wouldn't be into, and for some reason I find them charming. I'm just a fan. I liked Extremity. I liked Murder Falcon.
Mm,
So I'll basically give anything a shot, and I like Transformers enough as a property that I've watched the movies and whatnot. So two things that I don't mind. And that's really the only reason. There's no other reason other than that. I've heard people say that I like it because it incorporates like an element of wrestling
yeah,
into it.
yeah. You're going in with no expectations, there is no reason why.
None.
There's nothing to stop you
Yeah,
loving it. I think it's probably in some ways better. There are a lot of people that I think have gone into it with no expectations. Never read a Transformers comic before. They may have seen the Michael Bay films.
that's me.
Yeah. And
That's
and
me.
that's brilliant because even it doesn't matter. There's so many variations of Transformers. There's no set thing, and you'll get some people that really
That's
fight over it. It's like, one example, the cartoon, the animated series Transformers Prime. I didn't see it, but the
yep.
fan base was like intense. They love it. It's untouchable. And then they did a follow-up series which was set in the same continuity, and that fan base tore it to shreds. And that's where I came in, and I used to sit and watch that series, which was called Robots in Disguise, with my daughter. And it's more of a comedy, and I love it. I love it. It's a completely different approach. It's funny. It's very funny. I find it very funny. The characters are great. The character designs are great. And it's almost like Bumblebee's. He's Lieutenant Bumblebee. He's more like a cop, and he's trying to track down the Decepticons that are kind of escaped from a prison ship on Earth. It's like that's a whole nother version again, So there's so much to choose
Yeah.
from. There's so many variations. I in no
And
way
that's
want to
and
say
that's the
to
thing
people,
with
you can't like this isn't proper Transformers. It's all proper
right.
Transformers.
Yeah. And that's the thing with this kind of stuff is that there's going to be versions of it that people are going to love that you're going to hate because you've become a purist. You grew up on like original versions of it and you did role playing games and like you became invested in that whole thing differently than people who just hop on because it's the latest pop culture thing.
Yeah.
And they might go back and enjoy all those other stuff like, oh, all of it is good, but I also like, and you're like, I hate that version of it. But that the good thing is there's so many versions of it.
Yeah.
This will probably be a primer for me to get into the Transformer stuff that you absolutely adore, just because it'll give me a interaction with the characters that I'll be like, oh, that was fun. I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind a little more of that. And before I know it, I've got 14 to 20 volumes of Transformers.
Sorry in advance
But
for when you do.
yeah, but that's part of the fun of all of this, right? Is
Yeah.
you stumble into these little areas of a character's world in very weird ways, and before you know it, you got their whole catalog. So
Yeah.
for you, what was it that you felt passionate about? You wanted to say that now you kind of get it
Yeah, I think a part of it
or
comes from
understand.
it's the toy. Well, as part of it was conversations we've had in the Discord group, and make sure you hop on the Discord. You can join in and have chats there. And we talk about all this stuff and recommend comics. There's all sorts of stuff in the Discord. It's very varied. But we had a conversation in there about it, and then on top of that, I watched videos by Prime versus Prime, who does toy reviews. He's an English guy who does toy reviews, but he was talking about like, oh, they've done this figure and it's animation accurate, and that was the moment that I really, really knew, because like we didn't have the animated series here. So for a lot of people, the animated series was this is what Transformers is in the 80s, Whereas for me,
Right.
it was the Marvel UK comics. So it's a whole different approach to Transformers, completely different approach. It's the UK comics were more character driven. There was a lot of character driven stuff in the animated series, but it's a completely different setup because it's aimed at entertaining children, whereas the comic had some kind of adult elements in there, and Death's Head was in there, and all this, there was all sorts going on, and they were just having fun with it, and they were doing a lot of stuff that you wouldn't be able to do on the cartoon, like with time travel and just these really complicated time travel stories actually, and all sorts of stuff, and like the amount of death, they'd kill off loads of characters like quite nasty ways. So my expectation of what Transformers is more that, and when IDW did that very heavily character driven storytelling, that felt like Transformers to me. Whereas when I bought the DVDs of the animated series and I'm watching it going, this isn't Transformers to me. I love the Transformers the movie because I watched that so many times as a kid, but it's almost like a separate thing, and a part of it is the animation and the style of it and everything. So yeah, that's probably what it is. Like the classic Transformers to me is very character led, and that's why the Michael Bay films didn't work for me, because it was just they were using the characters' names, but none of them looked like them, and it was just an Explodorama. Like I'm not interested in that. Here's Megan Fox. What's she transform into? I couldn't care less. Like get her off. Like what's the point?
Your number 2, sir.
My number 2 is one that I didn't think we'd ever see. We did mention this last week. So in our top 10 most wanted DC Omnis, and because it would have been on the list. Like it would have been on the list a year ago, and it's finally coming. They've released these already. We don't normally do.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
We don't normally do volume 3s. We normally kind of recommend the volume 1 and jump on, and then hopefully whoever it is will finish whatever the series is. But Justice League International is by Keith Giffen, James DeMatteis, Adam Hughes is in there, Bart Sears is in there, Kevin Maguire, there's all sorts. But it was a much lighter approach to the Justice League. It wasn't necessarily the big names. I think the initial launch had Batman in it, but it didn't really have any of the other more familiar JLA members. Guy Gardner was there, Blue Beetle, Captain Marvel, who was kind of more known as Shazam. So it was a really weird mix of characters. It wasn't an all-star team anymore, but it was incredibly popular. Now, I did read Volume 1 when they first released it, and I wasn't sure about it, and I sold the Omnibus. And then literally about a year ago, I went, no, I'm going to try it again. And I bought Volumes 1 and 2. And I thought, like, at least I've got them. That's nice. I've got Volumes 1 and 2. And now they're releasing 3. I'm surprised they haven't re-released it. Or, like, re-released them, both, the first 2 again. But I'm sure that there'll be a lot of people going, like, trying to buy them now might be tricky. I haven't looked at what the prices are. But Volume 3 is coming. And we did discuss the difficulties around one of the creators last week, who is Gerard Jones. And DC wanting to disassociate from him. But it seems his issues are going to be included. So this is quite a beast of a book, because you'll get like Chris Sprouse, is it? There's big name creators in here, and this was like, I think by this point it's kind of early 90s, very early 90s, but it's got like a ton of issues in here. I'm trying to find the page count. Give me 1 second. It's 1,312 pages. That's a big one, and it's going to have, so far as we know, unless they suddenly go, we're going to pull all these issues, Justice League America 51 to 60, Secret Origins 33 to 35, Justice League America Annual 5, Green Lantern 18, JL Quarterly 2 to 5, JLA 80-page Giant number 1, formerly known as the Justice League 1 to 6, JLA Classified 4 to 9, Justice League Europe 26 to 36, DC Retroactive JLA the 90s number 1, Justice League Europe number 2, Annual number 2, and Justice League International Special number 2. That is a lot. It's 1,312 pages is going to be a lot, right?
Yeah, and I think that pretty much collects all of what JMD and Keith Giffen and that whole team worked on up until it seems like number-wise that's where Dan Jurgens takes over and Superman joins the team. I
think after the Breakdown storyline, which was the crossover, I'm pretty sure that's when they did the Justice League Spectacular or Special, and that I think that's when they added Superman and Hal Jordan to each of the 2 main Justice League books, and then they kind of went from there. And I think Jurgens was on the series with Superman in, which I'm pretty sure was Justice League America. So yeah, you're right. That's a long way of saying yes.
No, but it is good to know where things begin and end, and where this series ends. Like this completes it, right? You'll have 3 volumes of the entire era.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, this is their preferred version.
When I first tried it out, I think my expectations were like, I thought this was going to be still a little bit more dramatic, because that's what I've kind of known the Justice League to be. I was surprised. But it's funny, isn't it? Because then you'll take other things. There are other examples of other characters, and you'll have a really serious run, and then someone will go, do you know what, let's just have some fun for a bit. And then the fan base goes wild. But this might come up again later. Spoilers.
Oh, spoilers for looking forward. Okay, all right, okay. Nice pick. I'm sure there's a lot of people happy about this release as well.
Oh god, yeah. Oh, Omega Bread incidentally said that both volumes 1 and 2 are still out there and available. So it might be one of those books they're keeping in print, like they have done with Green Lantern by Jeff Johns. Don't know.
The next book is an Image choice for me. It is, I don't know anything about it. It's basically a blind buy based off of description. Hexagon Bridge, issues 1 to 5. The writer is Richard Blake. Not familiar with this, but I'll give a synopsis of what was described on the website. Okay. An intricately told science fiction tale for fans of stories like Jonathan Hickman, so maybe this isn't for Dave, and Mike Huddleston's Decorum, and Darcy Van Polgeest and Ian Bertram's Little Bird. After explorers Jacob and Elena Armien find themselves trapped in a strange parallel dimension, I like that sort of thing, their clairvoyant daughter Adley and sentient robot Staden embark on a dangerous mission to rescue them. Pushing onward, they encounter mischievous beings amidst uncanny shifting landscapes and discover a world beyond belief. So it collects issues 1 to 5, some extra concept art, storyboards, character designs. So yeah, I give it a shot. I love the parallel dimension storyline because it could go anywhere you want it to, right? You break all the rules when you do stuff like that. So Dave, you're number 3. Take it away, sir.
Nice choice, by the way, dude. I'm liking the look. I can have a look at that. So, okay, my number 3 is something that I think if I told myself I was really hyped for this coming out 5 years ago, I'd go like, why? I haven't really been a big Predator fan my entire life. And I think last year or was it earlier this year? I watched The Predator for the first time in years, the film, and I loved it. And I never used to like it. I just thought it was brilliant. It's awful, and I loved how awful it was. It's great. Do you know Peter Cullen, who's the voice of Optimus Prime, does the Predator sound? You know that thing that he does? I don't know how he does it. It's like the mic is turned right up.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
I can't do it.
Oh, man. I love voice actors just because the things you find out that they've been behind, like, really, that was you the whole time? Like, I've had nightmares of that sound. Yeah, it's cool.
And you were Optimus Prime the whole time. If only my parents had known. If only my parents had IMDb, I would have been fine. They would have gone, no, right? The Predator, that's Eeyore. You're all right.
Anyways, Predator.
So Predator was due to be over 1,000 pages. It's now 992. I'm not going to list all the issues. It's too long, and frankly, no one's going to be able to pay attention to it. It's a number of miniseries, and they came from Dark Horse Comics over the years. So this is the second of 2 collected editions of Dark Horse Predator stuff, or as Marvel like to call it, the original years, because they don't like crediting anyone. But recently, they decided to take out a couple of the stories. Right, there was one called Predator Hell Come A-Walkin', which was a 2-issue miniseries, and that was set in like the deep south at a certain point in time. Some of them are set in like Earth's past. They're not all just like gradually edging into the future all the time. So they're set in different periods of time. And there are a number of there are racial slurs, but they're not the typical. There's like they're mispronounced racial slurs where they could obviously get away with them if they did that. But it's like the language of the area of the time and the way that people would treat people in that time. So it's kind of, I don't think it's not meant to be like hateful. It's just authentic, which is kind of the point.
Yes.
It's like when you have, Preacher's a fine example of it. The N-word comes up a lot in Preacher, but actually it kind of addresses it later when he goes up against the Ku Klux Klan.
Right.
So just because you're saying certain things, it doesn't mean it's, sometimes there's a separate message involved. Anyway, I haven't read these stories, so I can't 100% say. But they've also taken out a story that's a short story, which was from Dark Horse Presents, and that features the Nazis versus Predator, and they've just taken them out. So it seems a little bit like, come on, really? Are we that sensitive now?
Yeah, and I feel like there becomes this sort of I don't know. It's like, are you afraid people can't understand what we're talking about? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you don't think people can distinguish when they read something that you have. That's the part where I feel it's kind of like, yeah, there should be age
It's
distinction
kind
of
of
who this is
guidance.
appropriate for.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And after that, you would hope that a person who is an adult watching a rated R movie, if there's language in it, knows the different. You know what I mean? But anyways,
Yeah. Normally that's the best approach. It's like with I'd Rather Were Art Thou was a fine example of it. That's a 12, and I always thought that should be like an 18, even though it's not, because of some of the use of the words in it, and also the understanding. I think it's more easy to understand if you're older. I mean, they could have, if they wanted to pre-warn people beforehand, which is what Marvel normally do on the app, they could have done that, but they haven't. They've just decided to pull them, which is a shame because it now won't be a complete edition, and it seems an odd reason. I mean, the thing is, it's a mature readers thing anyway because it's Predator.
that's what I mean. The audience, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so a bit strange, but it's still a chunker. It's just slightly less of a chunker than it was due to be. So 992 pages, a whole bunch of minis, and that wraps up all the Predator-centric titles from Dark Horse. Now, that doesn't include the Aliens versus Predator stuff, which I think they're going to do as 2-volume set. I think there'll be an Aliens versus Predator 2, the original years, volume 1 and 2. It's not been announced yet, but it's pretty much a guarantee. And it doesn't include the crossover stuff, which I don't necessarily see happen. That might happen now that Marvel and DC are kind of on better terms, because a lot of those crossovers are DC centric. So we'll see. And I think Marvel's relationship with Dark Horse is pretty good, as they're doing some stuff. They're doing some Miles Morales stuff, I think, Dark Horse, or something. It's really weird, or an art book or something. So maybe we'll get to see those crossover issues in another omnibus, but I don't know. It's hard to say. And those crossover trade paperbacks, which I do actually have somewhere here, they're really hard to find. And I don't just mean in my house, which they are. But yeah,
I feel you.
So they're gradually getting to the point of completeness. It's just a shame we're not going to have everything in that book. Who knows what they might do? I'm sure people will find ways to read them on the internet. But yeah, that's Predator, the original years, Omnibus Volume 2.
Am I on number 4? Number 4 now, right?
Yeah, number 4.
Yeah, I'm at number 4. I'm going to keep this one real simple. This is a book I've mentioned. It's DC 52, Volume 1. It's being re-released in paperback format.
Oh.
They've got omnibus versions of it, but this is the first volume of it, which I'm recommending or suggesting because that's the way that I read it myself. I have it just behind He-Man there. If you could see those 2 spines right there. Those that's how the book is going to be.
He's a big guy. It's easy to hide behind him.
Yeah. So it's a pretty hefty series. 26 issues both volumes have, which is just the right amount to have in a softcover graphic novel, however you want to put it. Great series, full of surprises. You've got some of the characters that were mentioned in the Justice League International Volume 3. They take center stage in this book in some ways, in really cool ways. So I can't speak highly enough about this really great series. 52, not the new 52, 52, the weekly series that DC put out after Infinite Crisis. Check it out, Volume 1. And the other reason why I would recommend it in this format, before I forget, is because the omnibus is very expensive.
Yeah.
Just as a book, it's in Canada, it retails for over $200.
What?
Yeah, $225 is the listed price. I don't know if anyone would buy it for that much, but if you buy it in these trade sizes, at the top price that it could be bought ticketed, it's $60. So you would still get the whole series for a significant. Yeah. If you paid full pop, it's significantly different. So I'm sure you can find these on sale, and it's much more worth your dollar, I think, to get it like this, because the omnibus is way too expensive, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's my soapbox.
No, it's cool. It's a shame they whacked the price up, but
I get it. I understand everything's gone up in price and production value. Like, I get it, but this is a good option because it is a great story. Like, you get a lot of story packed in. Yeah, it's great. And what I like about it too is that it doesn't rest on the laurels of your characters that everyone knows. So you're really getting storytelling that you become invested in. And
Yeah.
that's the best feeling, where it's like, okay, I just like reading. It's not a Batman. It's not about being Superman. It's about just a story.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Cool.
it.
52. Good shout. Staying in the DCU, my choice for number 4 is World's Finest Teen Titans. It's volume 1. I don't know what it is about this whole World's Finest thing, man. I think it's because it feels so Bronze Age. And I think we know I've got a chub for the Bronze Age right now.
But Mark Waid does too.
Yeah.
You and him can share chubs.
I'll call him.
Yeah. No, but he's famously known for being and having like an encyclopedic knowledge of that era that you're currently reading, right? So he brings that sort of charm to these stories.
Yeah.
That's been missing a little bit. I'm so excited to read the World's Finest stuff that he's worked on.
Well, that's the
Go
thing.
ahead.
World's Finest kind of feels like it sits somewhere between the original World's Finest series because it's Batman and Superman, but it also feels a bit like Brave and the Bold because it's got those other characters thrown in as well. So it's not strictly Batman and Superman. It's very much, it's almost like DC Universe as a series. That's how it feels. So they're not afraid to throw these characters in, and like this current, like I say current, they're way past this in the singles, but Elementary is a lot of it revolves around Metamorpho. So it's not just your big name characters, and Mark Waid keeps throwing in the Doom Patrol, and that's great with me because I love the Doom Patrol. So, and this is World's Finest Teen Titans, and I'm really interested in the Teen Titans from this era, and I don't know why. I haven't read it yet, but the issues the stories look so dark. Like the covers are so dark. I think I've read one story actually, and it was just very strange, really strange. But I don't know. There's something about it. There's something about the ridiculous naming conventions of the characters. Like that dude's called Speedy, Kid Flash, Aqualad. If I showed someone my Aqualad, I'd probably get arrested. I love the Wonder Girl costume as well. I don't know what it is about the red, but
with the
that's
stars.
Wonder Girl. It's cool. This one's got Bumblebee in it as well. Not Transformers Bumblebee. Let's not confuse matters there. But yes, it harks back but feels current. So the artist on this, I believe it's written by Mark Waid. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's written by Mark Waid, but the artist by Manuela Lapicino. I keep looking back at that episode where I went, I don't know if I like Mark Waid, and now I'm thinking like, I'm an idiot. Of course I do. I'm reading these because it's Mark Waid, and he gets it. So my past self lied.
Don't trust past data.
No, don't watch old episodes.
My last pick of the evening. This is another book that I'm simply recommending it. It's an image book, recommending it because of the description and the creators. That's Little Monsters. It collects the entire series of Little Monsters, which is created by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen, who are famously known for collaborating on Descender and Ascender. So this is a 13-issue series that they worked on, which is described as a Lord of the Flies meets vampires. Oversized hardcover. The description is that they are the last children on Earth who also happen to be vampires. For longer than they can remember, these child vampires have lived a life of eternal wonder amongst the ruins of humanity. But shocking events fracture the group and set them on a path of discovery that will shatter their innocence forever. There's your Lord of the Flies tie-in, I guess. Mm-hmm. Their ultimate survival depends on their ability to work together against the humans. Well, I want to know what shocking events fracture the group that set them on a path of discovery, Dave.
Should I tell you? Should I spoil
Have you read it?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
It was okay. It was a nice enough book. I'm a bit weird with horror because it's not technically horror, or is it horror? But it's vampires. But I don't know. It was okay. I think just give it a shot. Everyone's different.
well,
I'm probably not going to get the deluxe. I'm happy that I've read it, but yeah.
Okay, there you go. Well, see, for me, this was a trusted creative team for a lot of people, and then you get the complete series, which is always nice. Give it a shot.
Yeah,
Jeff Lemire.
It's a very quick read, but don't think that means that makes it not good. Some people do that. They go like, "But it's such a quick read." Like, it doesn't matter. You're getting atmosphere. You can read it twice. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Dave, you're number 5.
Right. My number 5 is and I'm prepared to get shouted down for this. The Hulk Epic Collection, Who is the Red Hulk? Now, I've got this stuff already collected, and it's one of those things where I've occasionally hovered and put it in the sale pile and then gone, no. And I've read it twice, I think. Is it great? No. No, but there's something, and we were talking about the Justice League earlier and them switching to a slightly lighter tone, a severely lighter tone for the relaunch in the post-crisis DC universe with the J.M. DeMatteis, Keith Giffen Justice League International. I'm not necessarily saying this is on the same level as that by any means. I'm really not. But this feels like what Americans tend to call a Saturday morning cartoon, with a lot of big, hulking, literally things just knocking the crap out of each other. There is a story, there is a mystery, there is Ed McGuinness art, and I love Ed McGuinness. I really, really love Ed McGuinness. I know some people go like, I just don't get it. Like, what's there not to get? It just, I love his style. It's really clean, but also it can be really detailed. It's really bombastic. It feels like a cartoon. And that's what
feels
I really
like a toy.
Yeah, it feels like every piece of your childhood molded into one thing. Sometimes it reminds me of like computer game stuff and everything. It's like I can't explain why McGuinness appeals to me so much, but I love his stuff.
The first time I saw his art, I remember I was out of comics, and I went into a shop to just kind of see, because I've always loved comics, but I would go in like, I don't know what to buy, I don't know what to look for, and I saw. It was the time where he was on Superman with Jeff Loeb and during that era, and I didn't like it. I said, I do not like the way Superman looks. I said, I'm happy. Now I do too. I adore it. But just at that, I was a teenager and I picked it up. I'm like, why does Superman look so childish? Like, it didn't in my head. Now I get it, right?
Yeah.
But like you said, it's your childhood wrapped up in all of these characters. So, you know, when it comes to that era of the Hulk, I've heard people have such disdain about it.
Yeah.
And then I love how much you're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a story. It's fun.
I think the reason why, and going back to that Justice League comparison, is because we'd just come off Planet Hulk, which was praised widely. It's an epic, a year-long epic. It's a big deal. It's fairly violent, pretty serious. Hulk on another planet, beating things up and just trying to survive, nearly dying. And then they had World War Hulk, which maybe wasn't quite as well received, at least as a big crossover. But the main series was like, it's kind of what you'd expect it to be, which is him coming back to Earth and punching a lot. This was a big departure. It was a total tonal shift. And I think that was the issue. Because when you did a tonal shift and there was no internet back in the day, people might go, oh, I don't like it, and jump off. Or some people would just go, it's fine. What's that thing there? I'm going to pick that up. I think people by that point in time, because what was it, 2008-ish, 2009, weren't quite as open to this. This is how things are supposed to be. It's like, no, it's not necessarily. It's a very strange thing, People got very set in stone about these characters. Anyway, this was a very different approach. It was Jeff Loeb. Jeff Loeb's Marvel stuff tended not to be as well received, apart from his colour books like Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue. They tended to be kind of shot down. I don't like many of his other books, but there's something about this. Part of it's the mystery. Part of it's the ridiculousness. Was Red Hulk ridiculous? Yes. Is it a bit of throwaway, sit on the toilet and read it fun? Yes, it is, completely. It's not great. It looks great, and it's stupid, and that's what appeals to me about it. Not everything has to be high art, and I love a mystery. I love a mystery. I can pretty much guarantee a lot of the people who were shouting it down were still buying it.
Yeah,
because they bought it.
I think they hated the way the reveal.
I think they hate that it was being called Rulk. But he's not called Rulk in story. Red Hulk is never called Rulk in story. It was something they said in letters pages and stuff, or in editorial things, or in interviews. It was just a shorthand thing. And people going, the fact that it was called Rulk is ridiculous. He's not called Rulk. He's never called that. But then as you go on later on as well, you'll get Paul Pelletier art. You'll get Greg Pak jumps back on for the Incredible Hulk series. And this is a dumb, fun era. And, pick it up, give it a try. If you're not swayed by all the stuff that people are saying, and if you're not sitting through all these other storylines and go, this needs to be this forever, this is the style of the Hulk forever. Hulk's always been about change. He's literally a metaphor for change. Just try it.
Yeah,
if you
he's
don't
the one
like
character,
it, fine. But good for
Yeah.
you for being open-minded enough to try it and not let people just shout everything down all the time. It's a stupid book. But
Yeah.
just go have fun, will you? There are a few other books to go through. Shall I do a really quick run-through of what else is hanging that's probably worth a look? Let's do it!
Do it.
Okay. So from Boom Studios, we've got Something is Killing the Children Deluxe Edition Volume 2. It's the James Tynion series. I can't remember who does the art, sorry. That's a very popular series. So if you were waiting on deluxe editions for that, now's your time to grab the next one. Dark Horse are releasing the Hellboy Artist Collection by Richard Corbin. Critical Role, Mighty Nine Origins by Regard Lionette. I'm a big fan of that character, so I'm really glad that's coming out, but I'm going to be waiting for the library edition. World of Black Hammer Omnibus Volume 3. So a Dark Horse Omnibus, don't forget, is a paperback, normal size paperback. So that's originally was a library edition, which was the supersize books, hardcovers. These omnibuses are paperback. So it continues the Black Hammer stuff from Jeff Lemire, but it's the spin-off titles. DC, there's Nightwing, A Night in Bloodhaven Compendium, Book 1. Adventures of Superman by George Perez. I did mention this recently, but it's getting a reprint, but it is missing issues from the crossover event in there. It's only got the 3 Perez issues. Fables, the Deluxe Edition, Volume 16, will round out Fables, because the comeback was very short-lived, and Bill Willingham has since departed from DC, and he's made those characters public domain. Batman, Black Mirror, the Deluxe Edition. I've never read that storyline, but it's by Scott Snyder.
I should have listed that.
I was gonna.
That's a great series.
But I've never read it. See, how did I not list that? But I listed Red Hulk. Oh, that's where I'm gonna get abuse. Bring it. I don't give a shit. So Marvel, Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection, Assassination, which we did mention recently. It's the assassination plot. Wolverine Omnibus Volume 5, which was one I wanted more than Volume 4. I was gonna just stop, but I might now have to get 4 so I can get 5 because it's no-nose Wolverine time. Star Wars Legends Epic Collection, The Old Republic, which is the Knights of the Old Republic series that you've mentioned a few times as being well worth a read.
It's Jedis versus Mandalorians and a murder mystery throughout it.
Hulk, World War Hulk Omnibus. We mentioned World War Hulk earlier on. They're re-releasing the omnibus of that. Avengers Epic Collection, The Evil Reborn, which is the end of the George Perez era of Avengers. I think it's the end of it. It's got the very controversial Ms. Marvel storyline from Avengers 200 in there. It's a very odd era.
I got that on the way.
But it's
yeah. I'm trying to get from issues 100 to the end of Roger Stern.
Right.
Of Avengers.
Nice.
I don't know why that's my ending point, but an Epic Collection anyways.
It's good to have goals.
Because I got I got goals, yeah. That's what I'm going for.
That's
everybody.
ambition. That's ambition for you.
There you go. Another incoming. Thank you, Mr. Dave. Everybody that's been with us on the Twitch, thank you for hanging out with us and giving us some of the things you're looking forward to. And don't forget, everybody, go Omniverse.guide. Check out the website for all the reading orders, podcasts, collector's item specials we got, and hang out with us on the Discord. A lot of fun conversations, recommended things. The podcast continues on the Discord, so be sure to hang out with us there. Dave?
At ease, soldier.